What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Now today I've got a bit of a different video for you, but if you like entitled parents, you will love this new subreddit, trust me. My neighbours didn't like the colour my house was, so they had it painted a different colour while I was out of town. So this is probably a really weird question for me to ask, but it's a weird situation and I'm not really sure what I can do. My house is on a corner lot. 2 years ago, a newlywed couple moved into the one house that's beside me. Right away, they started making weird comments about the colour my house was painted, yellow, and soon switched to outright demanding that I paint it a different colour. My house was painted yellow when it was built, I like the colour, and there is no bylaw against it or anything. They have called the police on me about it as well as the city, both of whom told them to pound sound because I hadn't done anything wrong and there was nothing they could do. They also tried suing me in court. The suit was thrown out and they had to pay my legal fees. And they tried getting our other neighbours together to form a homeowners association in the hopes eventually I could be forced to paint my house a different colour. Our other neighbours also told them to pound sand and they have basically alienated themselves from everyone else in the neighbourhood at this point. I recently had to go out of town for something. I was gone for 2 weeks. When I got back 2 days ago, my house was grey. Seriously. I actually almost drove past it because I'm so used to my yellow house. I knew immediately who was responsible, but when I went over and knocked on their door, no one answered. I think the couple figured out that I was away and not just at work when they saw our neighbours collecting my mail for me, because I sure as heck never told them I was going away. And I know my other neighbours hate them too and didn't tell them. The neighbour from across the street came over and showed me pictures that he took of the painting company setting up and doing the work. He said he and another neighbour called the police, but the painting company had a valid work order and had been paid, so the police couldn't do anything. He also told the painting company about it, but because they were paid to do the work, they said they had to do it to avoid being sued. I called the painting company to get a copy of the work order, and it was in the name of a Miss Jane Smith and was paid for in cash. A red-headed woman and her red-headed husband came to the company to hire them, my neighbours are both redheads, saying they would be out of town and would like their house painted while they were gone. They gave the painting company pictures of my house taken from the street. I have a surveillance camera at my front and side doors and in my backyard because I work shifts, and as a woman living alone, I don't want some stranger breaking into my house and waiting to ambush me when I get home. My neighbours never set foot on my property at any time, so they can't be charged with trespassing, and they didn't do the painting, which was actually done properly. When I called the police, they reiterated that since the painters were hired, had a valid work order, and were paid to do the job, they can't be charged with trespassing either, because it was reasonable for them not to know and they were acting in good faith and didn't cause any physical damage to the house. Also, the neighbours can't be charged with trespassing or vandalism because they didn't come on my property or touch the house themselves. I don't know if I can sue anyone because there was no actual damage or harm done to me or the house. My neighbours still have not answered their door or shown themselves. I am annoyed beyond belief because I like my yellow house and I can't believe how freaking crazy that they have been. I wish I could show a court or city council how psycho they have been over this. I want to know if I have any recourse or if I can do something to get them to pay to paint the house back to yellow. Does anyone know what I can do to get them to fix this and paint it back? So guys, if you haven't already worked it out, this subreddit is r/legaladvice. Now I came across this the other day and just started reading the stories and I was absolutely amazed. The whole point of this subreddit is people put on these crazy stories that they don't really know legally where they stand at the end of them, and people give them advice on what they should do. But what's great about this subreddit is that these stories are normally just about crazy entitled people that just do the wackiest things and people don't really know how to react. Nonetheless, people do still try and put their legal advice or comments below, and I came across this one which seems quite reasonable in this story. Not a lawyer, but an architect. Odds are the neighbours did not pay to have your house painted properly. Given that they will be responsible for undoing the harm they caused, please seek out the best painters in your area. Make sure that they are going to fully correct any problems the previous painters may have caused. Using the wrong paint, failing to remove bad paint below, failing to cork cracks or gaps properly, and so on can cause you many tens of thousands of dollars in damage over the coming years. Some areas of the house may need to be stripped back to the base material, primed and repainted, typically 2 coats. This is such a tough situation, right? I mean, what would you guys do if this event happened to you? As OP said, her neighbours didn't actually do anything against the law. But yeah, what this architect is saying I guess does make sense. I guess you should try and find any minute flaw in the design, the painting, and then just go to court. I don't know what else you can do really. Now OP did actually provide an update. I was going to wait until after the weekend to talk talk to the lawyer I used for their last lawsuit against me, but there have been further developments, so I had to call him this morning. Beyond the fact that they have filed another lawsuit against me for the cost of the painters, yes, seriously, I can't say anything further about what has all happened on the advice of my lawyer. Oh wow. Now unfortunately guys, this story is now over 4 years old, so we have no idea what happened. Unfortunately, OP didn't give us another update. I've checked through their history of posts, there's nothing there. But what I want you to do is let me know down below what you think might have happened as a result of this story. I've got no idea, it's absolutely mental. Anyway, let's move on to another one. Kid put his stuff in my yard, ran over it with my lawnmower, mum wants me to pay. So my yard goes pretty close to the neighbour's concrete pad where they have a basketball court set up. Neighbourhood kids always go there to play and usually leave their bikes and things on my grass. It's not that big of a deal, except I've had to ask them to move their stuff several times when I'm mowing. This is the first time I've mowed this year and the grass is a few inches higher than it should be. Anyway, a kid comes over and I'm mowing, but he still puts the basketball he brought with him down on my grass. I get to the basketball and just decide I can nudge it with the front of the mower and out of the way. I made eye contact with the kid several times, waiting for him to move it before I got there, and he never did, so I figured, whatever, it'll roll. Well, I bump it with my mower over to a section of mowed grass, and as I continue forward past where it was, there was a loud clunking and crackling like I'd just run over a rock. The rock turned out to be his iPhone. He was upset obviously that his phone was broken, and I did feel bad, but my thought was that he should have said something or moved it before I got there. He goes home and about 30 minutes later his mum shows up and tells me I broke it and I am responsible for replacing it. That I should have told him to move his stuff because I am the adult. Wait, didn't OP just say he did that in the paragraph before? I tell her I'm sorry about the phone and politely decline her request. She just says, I promise you will be paying for it, and then storms off. I'm not really sure what her next course of action is or what she plans to do. She mentions something about she has a friend that's a lawyer, so I guess she could take me to civil court? Am I legally responsible for replacing the phone? Would it be cheaper than court costs if she did choose to take me to court? Oh man, this is a tough one as well, because I guess you did actually run the phone over, but obviously you didn't know it was there and you did ask the kid to move his stuff out of the way. Honestly, I have absolutely no idea what even happens in this situation. Guys, if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below. These stories are so tricky. They're really good though. Hopefully you guys are now understanding the point of this subreddit. The stories are tough and confusing and a little bit controversial as to what might happen in the end, but they're super interesting. Now for our final post. I think my boyfriend has been drugging me to make me forget things. He is a doctor. So, I think my boyfriend has been secretly drugging me for a while now and is gaslighting me. I know this is going to be hard to explain, but I have been having gaps in memory that I have been explaining away as being tired or overworked or whatever else. I was going to ask my boyfriend about it since he is a doctor, but then I started to notice that this seems to happen when I go on dates with him. I know it must be crazy, but I've woken up with dried semen on my breast several times with no memory of the night before. I know it's him as, well, I won't get into specifics, but he likes that kind of thing more than other guys would. The first time it happened was when we were drinking and I wrote it off as too much to drink. We get drunk and have sex all the time, so it's not a big deal to me. But then there were a few times when I know we were not drinking. I decided to break up with him over it, only to suddenly find myself on a date with him a few days later. I had not yet had the conversation to break up with him, but planned on it next time I talked with him. I remember being at the restaurant, but nothing before that. My car and his car was in the parking lot too, so I was confused. I decided to play along when he asked me to come back to his place. After 3 days at his place, I remembered everything, so I was starting to trust him again. Knowing he was an ENT, I know it won't be his forte, but he is a doctor. I was going to ask him about my issues when he randomly pointed to these red bumps on my thigh and said I should be treating those sores. I had completely forgotten they were there, these little red bumps that looked like needle injections that got infected. I got so freaked out he mentioned them that I decided to leave. The next day he came over to check on me, and I remember waking up in bed with more dried semen on my chest. Then today he met me for lunch saying we had agreed to meet. I never agreed to meet with him and never would want to. He does this all the time, saying we agreed to do something I have no memory of. I'm sick and tired of it and want him punished. This has started to affect my work life as well, as I start to get paranoid when I see a boss walk into a room after making eye contact with me. I get paranoid that they are about to fire me. My friends also state I've been acting strangely and out of character. I've even begun to lose sleep and sleepwalk when I do. Is there a way to have blood work done to see what kind of drug he is using on me? I do not want the police to blow me off and push me away as some crazy lady, so I want to be dang sure when I go to the police. Well guys, as you can see, some of these stories are so serious. Wow, I really don't know what to do in that situation. I guess I would say just if you can in any way, go and get a blood test and ask your doctor if there's anything a little bit weird in your system. That would be one way of clearing it up. Other than that, I don't really know. I guess just go to the police and hope they hear you out. It's such a tough situation to be in. I'm sorry that you're in that situation. Anyway guys, that is going to be the end of this video on r/legaladvice. Let me know if you enjoyed it. You know what, I'm going to leave a poll in the top right hand corner of the screen. Vote if you want to see more on this subreddit. I think it provides a nice little change from the usual stuff, but let me know how you want this to run. Shall I give my opinions? Leave yours down below? I don't know, let me know. On the whole, this has been super interesting to me and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So if you did, leave a like, comment your opinions as I've said, and subscribe for daily Reddit content on my channel.